In a unilateral system of tolerance, the tolerance is allowed on A. One side of the actual size, B. One side of the nominal size, C. Both sides of the actual size, D. Both sides of the nominal size. The correct answer is one side of the nominal size. A two-high rolling mill consists of two rolls which rotate A at the same speed and in the same direction, B at the same speed but in opposite direction, C at different speeds and in the same direction, D at different speeds and in the opposite direction. The correct answer is at the same speed but in opposite direction. Carburising flame is used to weld A. Steel, cast iron, copper, aluminium, etc., B. Brass and bronze, C. Hard surfacing materials such as stellite, D. All of these. The correct answer is hard surfacing materials such as stellite. The electrode tip diameter D in spot welding should be equal to where T thickness of plate to be welded. A. T, B. 1.5 T, C. 3 T, D. 6 T. The correct answer is 6 T. For obtaining a cup of diameter 25 mm and height 15 mm by drawing, the size of the round blank should be approximately A. 42 mm, B. 44 mm, C. 46 mm, D. 48 mm. The correct answer is 46 mm. Cores are used to A. Form internal cavities in the casting, B. Improve mold surface, C. Form a part of a green sand mold, D. All of these. The correct answer is all of these. During hot working of metals, A. Poor surface finish is produced, B. Scale is formed on the metal surface, C. Close tolerances cannot be maintained, D. All of these. The correct answer is all of these. When a pattern is made in three parts, D is known as a drag. A. Bottom part, B. Middle part, C. Top part, D. The correct answer is bottom part. Shrinkage allowance is made by adding to external dimensions and subtracting from internal dimensions. A. Agree, B. Disagree, C. D. The correct answer is agree. A jolt machine is used to A. Ram the sand harder at the pattern face with decreasing hardness towards the back of the mold, B. Ram the sand harder at the back of the mold and softer on the pattern face, C. Produce uniform sand hardness throughout the mold, D. Produce uniform packing of sand in the mold. The correct answer is ram the sand harder at the pattern face with decreasing hardness towards the back of the mold. If the sand is too fine, its permeability will be high. A. True, B. False, C. D. The correct answer is false. Which of the following statement is wrong? A. The mortise gauge has two scribing pins, B. The gouges are chisels with a hollow-shaped blade, C. An auger is a planing tool, D. All of these. The correct answer is an auger is a planing tool. In a compound die, A. Only one operation is performed at each stroke of the ram, B. Two or more operations are performed simultaneously at the single stroke of the ram, C. Two or more cutting operations are performed at one station of the press in every stroke of the ram, D. Both cutting and non-cutting operations are performed at one station of the press in every stroke of the ram. The correct answer is two or more cutting operations are performed at one station of the press in every stroke of the ram. A file removes the metal during A. Forward stroke, B. Return stroke, C. Both forward and return strokes, D. None of these. The correct answer is forward stroke. In spot welding, the spacing between two spot welds should not be less than AD, B 1.5D, C 3D, D 6D. The correct answer is 3D. Aluminium is the best material for making patterns because it is A. light in weight, B. easy to work, C. corrosion resistant, D. all of these. The correct answer is all of these. Gagger is used for cleaning the moulding sand. A. correct, B. incorrect, C, D. The correct answer is incorrect. In sheet metal work, the cutting force on the tool can be reduced by A. grinding the cutting edges sharp, B. increasing the hardness of tool, C. providing shear on tool, D. increasing the hardness of die. The correct answer is grinding the cutting edges sharp. In order to get uniform thickness of the plate by rolling process, one provides A. camber on the rolls, B. offset on the rolls, C. hardening of the rolls, D. anti-friction bearings. The correct answer is camber on the rolls. A pouring basin acts as a reservoir for the molten metal. A. agree, B. disagree, C, D. The correct answer is agree. In bending operation, the metal takes the shape of a punch. A. yes, B. no, C, D. The correct answer is yes. The cold working of metals is carried out A. at the recrystallization temperature, B. below the recrystallization temperature, C. above the recrystallization temperature, D. at any temperature. The correct answer is below the recrystallization temperature. Lancing is the operation of A. cutting a sheet of metal in a straight line along the length, B. removal of metal to the desired shape from the edge of a plate, C. cutting a sheet of metal through part of its length and then bending the cut portion, D. bending a sheet of metal along a curved axis. The correct answer is cutting a sheet of metal through part of its length and then bending the cut portion. Notching is the operation of A. cutting a sheet of metal in a straight line along the length, B. removal of metal to the desired shape from the edge of a plate, C. cutting a sheet of metal through part of its length and then bending the cut portion, D. bending a sheet of metal along a curved axis. The correct answer is removal of metal to the desired shape from the edge of a plate. The shrinkage allowance for cast iron pattern is A. 10 mm M, B. 16 mm M, C. 20 mm M, D. 26 mm M. The correct answer is 10 mm M. An oxidizing flame is obtained when equal volumes of oxygen and acetylene are supplied. A. true, B. false, C, D. The correct answer is false. A neutral flame is obtained by supplying A. equal volumes of oxygen and acetylene, B. more volume of oxygen and less volume of acetylene, C. more volume of acetylene and less volume of oxygen, D. none of the above. The correct answer is equal volumes of oxygen and acetylene. An oxidizing process used for aluminium and magnesium articles is called A. galvanizing, B. anodizing, C. permeabilizing, D. Shrinkage. The correct answer is anodizing. For welding plates of thickness less than 5 mm, its edges A. do not require beveling, B. should be beveled to a single V or U groove, C. should have a double V or U groove on one side, D. should have a double V or U groove on both sides. The correct answer is do not require beveling. In order to cut mild steel, the cutting angle of chisel should be A. 30, B. 45, C. 50, D 60. The correct answer is 60. The operation of straightening a curved sheet metal is known as A. Drawing, B. Squeezing, C. Coning, D. Planishing. The correct answer is planishing. The correct sequence for preparing a billet for extrusion process is pickling, alkaline cleaning, phosphate coating and lubricating with reactive soap. A. Yes, B. No, C. D. The correct answer is yes. Tandem drawing of wires and tubes is necessary because A. It is not possible to reduce at one stage. B. Annealing is needed between stages. C. Accuracy in dimensions is not possible otherwise. D. Surface finish improves after every drawing stage. The correct answer is annealing is needed between stages. In a both cutting and non-cutting operations are performed at one station of the press in every stroke of the ram. A. Simple die, B. Progressive die, C. Combination die, D. Compound die. The correct answer is combination die. Cold working requires much higher pressure than hot working. A. Correct, B. Incorrect, C. D. The correct answer is correct. The operation of bending a sheet of metal along a curved axis is known as A. Plunging, B. Notching, C. Slitting, D. Forming. The correct answer is forming. In a two or more operations are performed simultaneously at the single stroke of the ram. A. Simple die, B. Progressive die, C. Combination die, D. Compound die. The correct answer is progressive die. A rib saw. A. is a two-man saw. B. is used for cutting along the grains of wood. C. has a narrow blade with two wooden handles. D. all of the above. The correct answer is used for cutting along the grains of wood. The welding setup is said to have reversed polarity when the work is connected to the negative terminal and the electrode holder to the positive terminal. A. Agree, B. Disagree, C. D. The correct answer is agree. For welding plates of thickness more than 12.5 mm, its edges A. do not require beveling. B. should be beveled to a single V or U groove. C. should have a double V or U groove on one side. D. should have a double V or U groove on both sides. The correct answer is should have a double V or U groove on both sides. In electric resistance, welding voltage required for heating is A. 1 to 5 volts, B. 6 to 10 volts, C. 11 to 20 volts, D. 50 to 100 volts. The correct answer is 6 to 10 volts. Most of the oxy-acetylene welding is done with A. neutral flame, B. oxidizing flame, C. carburising flame, D. all of these. The correct answer is neutral flame. The cutting edge of a chisel should be A. hardened, B. tempered, C. hardened and tempered, D. case hardened. The correct answer is hardened and tempered. Scab is a casting defect which occurs as sand patches on the upper surface of a casting. A. true, B. false, C. D. The correct answer is true. In order to check the clearance between two mating surfaces, a gauge should be used. A. ring, B. plug, C. feeler, D. The correct answer is feeler. When the weld is made from left to right, it is known as backhand welding. A. agree, B. disagree, C. D. The correct answer is agree. The current in electric resistance welding can be regulated by A. varying the input supply, B. changing the primary turns of the transformer, C. changing the secondary turns of the transformer, D. Any one of the above. The correct answer is changing the primary turns of the transformer. In a cold chamber die casting machine, only non-ferrous alloys with are casted. A. Low melting temperature. B. High melting temperature. C. D. The correct answer is high melting temperature. A mortise gauge is A. Striking tool. B. Planing tool. C. Boring tool. D. Marking tool. The correct answer is marking tool.